It's a Thursday. It's October.
It is a Thursday.
And this is part 2 of our non-binary
episode.
Whoa.
I think we share one brain cell. I think it splits or it rotates.
Yeah. This was when the brain cell joined.
So we went over all of our non-binary stuff that didn't have to do with the interviews in part 1.
So
if you want to listen to that, you can go back to that.
But yeah. I guess just to recap, a general definition of what non-binary means in terms of gender identity is, according to the internet, denoting or relating to a gender or sexual identity that is not defined in terms of traditional binary oppositions, such as male and female or homosexual and heterosexual.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what our episode is about, and we're going to interview 2 more amazing people, Lauren and Clark, and that's this. Yep.
Yeah, check out part 1 for our interview with sibling Cassidy. My sibling, Cassidy.
Our sibling.
Ours. Might as well be.
Plot twist.
2
Shout
of our... Wait.
Melissa and Angie.
2 of our assured listeners. That's... Yes, okay.
Yeah, words.
It's a time.
Side note, I don't know if we'll put this in, but Natalie broke her foot.
I mean, I didn't actually. I just
or something
actually,
like
the
that.
full story is that so I make my own calendars because I'm extra and I don't appreciate that there isn't a pre-made calendar out there for all of the pictures that I want to look at every day. Such as okay, part of me doesn't want to talk about this because I feel like I'm just gonna embarrass myself. But whatever, we're doing it. We started it.
Oh, okay. You could just say the end of the story and be like, "My foot is broken."
It's not.
Or something.
Well, okay, I'll say it anyway, and then we'll decide if we want to cut it out or not. But anyway, this month's picture is a picture of Sarah Paulson's...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's my mind. Sarah Paulson's American Horror Story Season 8 character. Who I have a lot of feelings about. She's very attractive. I mean, in general.
Season 8. I don't know. I have to educate myself, so I'm Googling it.
Heart is in my throat.
Okay,
Look at her!
Oh my God.
Sorry. Wow. That was...
Sorry. Whoa.
Yeah, that one.
So cool and
yeah,
hot and
it's scary.
cool. Very
Anyway,
Victorian.
so that's my calendar for this month. And thank you, so I can focus. And I was looking at it, and I was like, yes. And then I just very hard ran my foot into my bedroom door, at least half of my toes, maybe 3/4, and it really hurt. And now one of my toes is really swollen. It's actually kind of going down, and it hurts less.
They're kind of red.
Also, though, my house is freezing. Today the high is 79, but my house was probably more in the 60s.
Oh.
And so I feel like that also... Hello, bird.
That's Burb.
I feel like that also makes my toes kind of red. I don't know. But yeah, it hurt. I felt like my soul left my body. It's probably not broken, but it was an experience. And considering everything else that's been going on this week, my body was just yeah, we're not gonna deal with this immense pain. And that was kind of an interesting feeling.
Nice. Oh no.
Because it was I was in pain, but my body didn't want to deal with it, so it was just felt like a lot of anxiety.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2020.
Yeah. Debate week.
Haha.
Also just school for me. The
I'm not in
in-person lab.
school.
Yeah, lucky you.
Ha ha ha.
But because I'm learning how to be a medical assistant and we're doing shots and drawing blood, that takes a lot out of you. You don't like think about it going into it, but by the end of the day, you're like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
No matter how fun it is.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. In other news, we
Saw gay lizards.
Well, first we saw this cute little itty bitty lizard, and then we saw another itty bitty lizard, and they were doing the push up things to each other, apparently, which is a thing.
Yeah, it's like they're like, I'm big and strong. I do push-ups. They're like, hey girl, hey. But then like plot twist, the other lizard did push-ups, and I was
Yeah.
like, are they both male? And then I was like, gay lizards.
Gay lizards. But then one of them ran away, which was sad because the other one looked really sad and rejected.
Yeah.
I feel you, lizard.
Yeah. We just watched a love story happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think
it
I
was
just saw
epic.
one of them a second ago on one of the rocks somewhere. I lost sight of it.
Yeah.
They were really cute lizards. They were so small.
Baby
Baby.
speedy lizards.
Baby lizards.
Oof, that's my brain.
Baby speedy
Baby
lizards.
speedy lizards. And it's just like an animation of a lizard on repeat.
Have you
Scuttle.
seen? There's Scuttle. There's. Hold on. There's a comic that's like, why would I want to take baby steps? Babies are awkward and clumsy and don't know how to walk. From now on, I'll be taking jazzy little lizard steps.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I should be a lizard for Halloween. Lizard steps.
Yes.
Scuttle steps.
I found it.
Oh.
I can't read that.
He's
though.
like a little
It's too
dancing
small.
lizard.
Well, but
It's
there's
like,
an animation that
doo-doo,
goes with it that I don't know. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know how to work your computer.
That's okay.
It's
okay. We go.
It says basically what I said. Yes. Okay. So it says, yeah, why would I want to take baby steps? Babies are shit at walking. Think about it. And it shows a baby trying to walk and then falling and going, wah. So then it says, to move forward, I'll be taking jazzy little lizard steps. And it shows this cute little lizard taking jazzy little lizard steps. And then I'm gonna, because there's an animation. You do it. I don't know how to work.
Gifts.
I have no idea how to find it. But anyway, it looks jazzy. Maybe I can find it on YouTube.
Oh, truth. Zion.
I guess
Cute.
we're not gonna find it. But anyway, just imagine what a lizard would look like if it was walking on its two back legs.
Or imagine a
It'd be
baby
jazzy.
lizard. This episode is brought to you by
Gay lizard couple in Andy's backyard.
Yes. They were so cute.
They were.
Such a cute couple. So sad to see them separate.
Yeah.
Oh,
Think about the kids.
They're baby.
The little baby lizard
lizards.
babies. The extra baby lizards.
Extra baby. Yep.
Whoa.
Okay. So that's. Well.
This
yep.
or this.
That's that.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy
Part two.
Part two, and that you, I don't know, learn things about non-binary identities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Comment, like, subscribe. Okay.
We're not doing that again. Anyway,
Um,
enjoy. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Goodbye. Good night, Moon. Welcome to Queers Can't Words podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Good to see you. We
Thank you for having me, guys.
we
Yeah.
have Lauren here with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I'm Lauren. I'm a student at NAU studying electrical engineering. And I'm non-binary, and I use they them pronouns.
Woo!
Yay. Cool. We're excited about this.
Amazing. So I'm gonna pull up our Google Doc of questions here. But our first question that we wanted to ask you on the topic of non-binariness, sorry, like blocked your face.
No, you're
good. Would be, what does being non-binary mean to you?
I feel like being non-binary to me is basically embracing the nebulosity that exists within how I experience gender, and acknowledging that that's okay, that there's nothing wrong with that, and that it is possible, um,
Mm-hmm.
and just not feeling like I have to be one way or the other in order to be a normal person,
Hell yeah,
whatever that means.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that a lot. Well, all right. So then our next question, I guess kind of like a two-parter. When did you realize your gender identity, and like what has or is your journey being like so far? Or how has it been?
Yeah. So I've been kind of, I guess, I don't know if playing with the idea is the right words to use, but thinking about being non-binary, I suppose,
Yeah.
um, since pretty early on, since like high school. Um, you know, at first I was just like learning like what on earth it meant, because before I had no idea what being non-binary was, because at least within my household, stuff like that never really got brought up, because they expected you to know certain things, and if you didn't, well then, oh well, you'll figure it out. um but yeah, I mean, it's been kind of slow going. I hesitated to try and put any labels on it at first, because I didn't know exactly what to call it. And I didn't want to, say something wrong or incorrect. With time, I've, come to accept more the label of non-binary, and, just grow into it, I guess.
Are there any like other labels, like maybe like gender non-conforming, or are there any other like words or new vocabularies that you sort of like identified with or thought about?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, I definitely identified more with the demi girl label, because I was I suppose I was still holding on to that like girl identity, because this process is a little scary,
For
as you're
sure.
kind of varying from what you've been taught to say and know for your entire life. But over time, I felt I guess the gender neutral,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, label fit better. GNC as well also fits. But yeah.
Amazing.
I tend to stick more with non-binary, because it's more, I guess, and they're not vague. Like, it doesn't
Maybe.
box me into a certain thing. It just
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
It. Yeah.
Then you have more like
Flexibility.
flexibility of expression.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
As like a, because I use like he him pronouns, which is like somewhat inflexible at times, but it's like, how do I make it flexible, or like I kind of express myself in a non-binary way, like on accident. So I feel that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Definitely flexibility.
mhm.
It's important to me when, I guess, choosing a label.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Do you feel like personally, like, and like going forward in your life, like that labels are either necessary or important? Like, excuse me, do you feel like you could live without them, or do you feel like they have a place in your life at least?
I feel like they have a place more in, I guess, describing to people who and what I am,
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have to do that, then I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But I find it really useful in describing, what, I'm dealing with, and who I am, and how I want people to think of me and refer to me,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. One question that like we've been thinking a lot about recently, because this podcast does do some like reviews of shows, like our last episode that I haven't actually uploaded yet. I'm sorry.
But we will.
But we will soon. We did like a review of like She-Ra because it ends up being like gay in the end. Anyways.
I mean, it's pretty gay throughout.
Yeah.
It has some quality.
And subtle
representation in there.
vibes. But our question for you is, how do you feel like non-binary people are represented in media? Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of non-binary representation in like science fiction, for example, because you have androids and different races of aliens where people I suppose feel more comfortable with approaching those topics because they aren't specifically dealing with humans. But I feel like there definitely needs to be a lot more introduction of like gender neutral characters that can exist just as they are, especially within media for kids, so that they know that, hey, this is a thing that people are, and that's okay. You don't have to be a boy or a girl. You can be in between or not at all within that spectrum or somewhere else entirely.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I guess going off of that, maybe like what are some like resources that you would
resources that you would recommend if you've had any or like stumbled upon anything that either like has helped you understand yourself more, or that you think could help people who don't understand it, like get
Right.
to know what people are meaning when they identify as non-binary.
Right. Well, I guess I didn't write anything specifically down because I guess throughout my like research process, I used a bunch of different resources. Yeah, I mean, Google is my best friend throughout this entire thing. Google and like Wikipedia, and forums where people would discuss like how they experience their gender. Um, and also I guess like your loved ones, because I ask my mom and my father and my friends like how they experience their gender. And that's actually kind of the reason why I like initially noticed that, hey, this is not the same thing I'm feeling, because my mom, for example, she's a cis woman, and when I talk to her about how she experiences her gender, she feels steadfast within it. There's nothing else that she feels like she could be other than a woman. And I compared that to my own experiences with my gender and saw that it was different. But yeah, just online communities, either on Reddit, Tumblr, Quora, also, like listening and reading to how people describe it. Yeah. There are also some websites, I can't remember off the top of my head what they're called, but it's where you type in your name and some pronouns that you want to try out using. And then they insert your name and those pronouns into different like storylines, so you can see and read and hear how you would be referred to, using these pronouns. I found that like really
cool.
Yeah.
I guess see how they them fit for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's like probably a little safer than just trying it in real life.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I did that. It's fine, but sometimes it's awkward. It's
Well, yeah, I feel like
it's that
sometimes people can.
That's really cool.
Give you grief for not like knowing everything at once,
right?
And like some people might think that you're just repeatedly changing your mind when really it's like this is a thing that can change, or like it's just difficult to understand on the first try because it isn't always like openly talked about.
I mean, it's a very like fluid process. It's like a exploration, if you will, a process of discovery, and you're gonna take strange detours along the way, and you just have to let it be, because the journey is really the most important part of it.
Yeah.
because that's where you learn things about yourself.
Yeah. For
For
sure.
sure. Hell yeah.
All right. Kind of like in line with resources, how do you think that I guess, well, people who don't identify as non-binary, like how do you think they can be a good ally to non-binary people?
Yeah, I think first and foremost they need to do a lot of research, and look into like what it means for other people, and to like just read and consume as much information as you can. That and also talk to your loved ones who are non-binary or say that they're non-binary, and ask them how they experience it, and ask them ways in which you could support them or help them in that journey. Um, and get comfortable asking a person what their pronouns are instead of just assuming.
Yeah.
And that goes for not just non-binary people but for everyone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listening and reading.
Awesome. I guess like this is a question that we didn't write down, but that I sort of thought of. And I guess like what have been some of the like really great things about being non-binary that you feel like have made you happy, and then on the flip side, so two-part question, what are some of the challenges that you faced and how have you overcome them, whether they be like mental, social, etc.?
Yeah. So I guess some awesome stuff that has happened after realizing that I was non-binary was the figuring out like the euphoria I get from being referred to using neutral, terminology and pronouns. Because before, like when I was referred to as, she, her, I was like, oh, okay, this is all right, I guess. But it didn't ever make me happy. It didn't feel like it fit. Like it felt like I was putting on my right shoe on my left foot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But as soon as like I asked my friends and family to use neutral terminology when referring to me, like it felt like home. It
Yeah.
felt amazing. I was like, oh yeah. So this is what people feel all the time when their pronouns match how they feel, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, that and seeing the community of people who not only are also non-binary but like also support me and let me know that I'm not alone in this, that isn't this strange thing that no one else is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just me. I guess.
Yay.
Yeah. And I guess some not so positive things. My parents were kind of slow to accepting. My mom is chill now though. She's proud of it. The other day she told me that one of her friends said that they should have realized something when I kept on stealing my brother's toys. My brother had this set of Lincoln Logs that I would always abscond with, and just build stuff. And I feel like that was more akin to me wanting to be an engineer more than anything. But
Yeah.
love you, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then with my dad, it's been kind of like a roller coaster. Sometimes he's better about it, other times he's not so good about it. But it is what it is. And it's a journey trying to initiate that conversation with people. Because sometimes they'll have assumptions that they'll make, or might think that they've lost something when they haven't. It's just your kid is just realizing who they are, and if it happens to not be what you think or thought they would become, then that's totally okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I lost my train of thought.
That's just the entire mood of like this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Sorry. I thought
It's all good.
and I didn't. Well, yeah. So should yeah. Here's
You
this
can ask
question.
any of the
Yes.
questions.
Do you what are your hopes for the future, either like just on a personal level as any way that you identify, but then also like you can take it in a worldwide or nationwide sense as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know, I guess personally, some goals I have are to, I guess cultivate a space for myself where, I can help as many people as I possibly can. Um, either with, realizing who they are, or, as an engineer with building stuff, um, or contributing to, I guess, humanity's canon of knowledge. Um, yeah, and I guess globally, I really would really like for us to, just realize that we're not as different as we think we are, and that we can get so much done and go so far if, we see that collaboration is key.
Mm-hmm.
And introducing more diversity into spaces is key, to increasing, innovation, and, productivity levels, and, just propelling humanity forward into, hopefully the good version of our future.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
The good timeline.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Well, honestly, I guess because we were just talking to my sister, and it kind of got me thinking about Fala, because I mean we're only like 4 years apart, and the way that they described Fala was much. Well, I think it surprised both of us a bit, because we were like, oh, but didn't align with like how Fala was for us. And so I guess I was wondering like if while we were at school there, if you felt like how strict either you were with yourself about your like gender identity, or even like sexual identity, if you want to get into that, and then like how strict like your friends or just other classmates or peers were.
Yeah, I feel like I was perhaps more strict with myself than my peers were, mainly because of the environment that I grew up in. I was raised to be a Christian, in a Christian household. A whole side of my family is all from the South, you know, and the other side are immigrants. So it's, I was kind of trying to fulfill, I guess, something that my parents wanted for me more than what I wanted for me. Um, but yeah, I feel like at Fala, the people there definitely, at least the people that I was interacting with, definitely set an example for me to see. It's, you don't have to go along with what your parents are saying that you should and shouldn't do, unless it's common sense stuff like don't steal, don't hurt each other, stuff like that. But like more along the lines of what you want to pursue as a career, or who they think you should be, and what gender that they think you should be based off of their own, what they were taught when they were kids. But yeah, I feel like through my friends, I learned that there's more degrees of freedom there than what I thought there were.
I guess this is just one question kind of going off, like you said, like that you had friends that kind of inspired you, or like people that you saw doing things maybe differently that you were like, oh, I could do this, or like I don't have to be in these roles. Was there ever like a role model or one specific person or a group of people, or maybe even a place that kind of like helped you on your like journey of gender identity, or just like developing as a person in general, that you helped you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ooh,
You're good.
person or group of people? I don't know. Because I feel like I take a lot of I guess inspiration from all of the people around me, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like the people that I guess inspired me the most were my like core like friend group while I was at Fala. Because we still talk today, we still play D&D together. You know, they're like my family. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely they provided a safe, I guess, emotional space for me to explore that. And I really, really appreciate them for providing that for me, you know? Um, yeah.
Um, hey guys, my name is Clark, and I am a non-binary friend of the pod. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. I have been studying SAC for 2 years, and I major in kind of a film, new media, video slash performance. Cover a lot of ground, but I mostly do like work and recently like 3D stuff and virtual like intermingling with the real, and like the internet. I don't know, kind of a lot of bullshit, but so that's kind of I don't know if that's a good intro, but that's what I'm gonna say is my intro.
Oh, cool.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And how old are you?
Oh,
For our listeners.
20.
Oh yeah, me
I'm 20.
Represent.
I'm 20.
Welcome to our podcast, and it's great to have you here.
yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Well, our first interview question is, what does being non-binary mean to you personally?
Wow, what a question. So, I guess to me, it's probably similar to what other non-binary people feel, but it's just kind of not feeling like, a male or female label is, like right or adequate, and feeling somewhere in the middle. For me, that is kind of towards the masculine side in like what you would say gender transition, but like kind of everywhere in expression. So I would say that's kind of what, if that makes sense, that's kind of where I'm falling. So
No, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And then kind of going off of that, ish. Yeah, sure. When did you realize your gender identity, and like what did your sort of like realization journey look like?
So, okay, that's a good question. Well, like, I'll say, like, from a young age, I always know it's different. For a long time, that was just being like, I don't know, kind of. I'm gonna borrow a term from Jacob Tobiah, who is a really cool non-binary person, but it's very genderful. Like I was into things kind of crossing gender stereotypes, but I was fine with like girl, and then around like maybe I started to feel different in like more than just like sexuality, and that like my being, I just felt like different. I was kind of low key, I'm like other girls because I wasn't. And I kind of did a hard flip in like high school, right at the beginning of like switching to just like I'm male, I'm a dude. Okay. And I don't think I really realized like how non-binary I was until honestly like just getting into college, and I did start testosterone for a little bit. And when I started testosterone, I almost immediately like was like, oh shit, like I'm really not like this like super masculine like dude person. Like that doesn't fit me anymore. Cause I was like honestly relatively passing all of a sudden. Like my face changed really quickly and my voice lowered really quickly. And I was like, oh, I do not want this. I was like, this is disgusting. Like neither gender felt great. And so I was like, well, maybe that non-binary stuff is actually something that I should like think about. And I think I've kind of been on a new wave of gender journey of figuring out like what does that mean for like a transition, or what does that mean for me in society, and what does that mean for me as an artist, all those questions. So that's kind of the space I'm working in right now. So
Sure.
that's all I'll say.
Nice, yeah. I guess a question that we didn't write down came to mind is like
We have a lot of those.
yeah.
I love that.
Me too. Is how does like your identity like play into your art, and how is it like
It's a really good question.
an
Damn it.
inspiration or
That is a
something
really good
helpful,
question.
and then how is it also something that maybe you struggle with in some regards?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, there's a lot of things you get to struggle with as a trans person. And I think you probably understand that more than most. Yeah. So I'll say that one for the end. No, in my art, it manifests kind of as one is like me trying to like communicate what I feel on the inside gender wise, which sometimes like you guys, it's like with words it's hard. Like out loud. Like, and I'm not a good writer, but I am a good artist, I like to think. So like it's it's through the art that I like am able to speak about. And so I feel like it kind of manifests itself there, or just my queerness in general. Like, well, I'll try to express it through the art. And also recently it's been a mode of like not just expressing like what I feel, but like how I am in the present, which is a new thing for me. Like expressing like the gender I'm inhabiting now, whether or not it's gonna be the one I inhabit in the future. Makes sense. And more, it's like putting a stamp on it and being like, okay, I was this in June 2020, or is it July? What month is that? Okay, July 2020, and then like I'll do something in December and be like, well, this is me in December, so what's the difference? So I can maybe compare and contrast. Sorry, I'm being a little weird on the interview.
No, you're all
And then
good.
struggles.
So-
Okay.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. I woke up like 2 hours ago, so this is coffee. Yeah, and then struggles. Obviously, being non-binary presents its own like struggles in life, and some of it is it just within my art, like expressing my like feelings. Like sometimes, like especially cis people, no offense, but not like see it the way I am presenting it. You know what I mean? And especially like since I'm kind of working in like a video art like space that is in I'm sorry, I'm talking so art school right now. That is
Oh, you're fine.
so so I'm working in like video art space that's heavily inspired by film, which is a heavily like queer coded space. Like the language film was not able to express outwardly like queer identity and queer feelings for a long time, and so it was like suppressed into these like for straight cis people it's kind of undetectable, but for queer people it's like right there. And so I feel like sometimes in my own work it kind of, not to me and not to other queer people, but to like people who don't have that experience, it kind of just completely falls under the radar and then that. And that's something I'm like should I be more like in your face about it, or should I like just leave it how it is, or like what should I do? Because you never want to like screaming at someone like your message. You want to like sexy, flowy, and like speak to them. And the other non-binary struggles is just like trying to explain to other people like who you are, like with the art, but like in real life. Like I still haven't really had like a conversation with my parents about like what does this mean for me and what does this mean for you, the world, and because it's hard to put in words. A lot of the gender processing kind of just happens in your head, and so you've thought about it over and over, and you've like molded it, and as you've gone along, but other people who aren't in your head, don't go along with that. And so trying to explain like that you feel like not either gender, quote unquote, is just already in itself a complicated, like, I think, idea for some people. So I'd say that's kind of maybe the basis of the non-binary struggle. It's just like having the words to describe to people who don't feel the same way, I guess that's the problem with it, most things, but anyway.
Well, I guess since you were talking a lot about film, one of the things we've been asking our interviewees is how you feel like you're being represented. Represent? I keep fucking up that word. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds weird to me. Anyway, how you feel you are represented in media, so like TV, movies, music.
Yeah, so technically, terribly.
Or lack
To
thereof.
be completely honestly. Yeah. But personally, I in some ways like think of myself in like movie character type cliches. So also great. It doesn't make sense. Like I like to joke that my gender is like it's like loner, like stick like super like cool dude who like blows into town, like cowboy kind of, or like action star, but also it's like sad, sultry, like 1920s lounge singer, like lady who's like, I'm just like helpless, and also my boyfriend's like the worst guy in town, but I like I don't know. Sorry, I'm just it's like in my head, like when I'm just like living life, I'm like right now it's like I'm doing this character in this movie from like whenever when I was a kid. I don't know. It's like in my head they represent me really well, even though I have nothing to do with any of it, and technically being represented completely poorly, and you might say negatively. So, that's a I know that should be an easy question to answer. It's just be like, no, I'm not being represented.
No, I love your answer.
Right?
All right, it's a good
love
answer.
No.
I guess going off of that, this is a Rona related question. As you like sort of like feel like certain characters in different situations, how has that changed being more like at home and like maybe not having to interact or like present yourself in the world as much? And like when you do go out, how do you kind of feel? I mean, it's kind of spooky to go out.
Yeah, well, I'll answer part of that question in that I haven't like really gone out in
good.
months.
That's so you're so
Yeah, well, I have a history of being susceptible to diseases or viruses. So, and I have really bad asthma. So, it's pretty much like a no. I don't go to Target even, So, I don't like outside. I know that's controversial. It's not that it's not pretty. I'm really allergic. Yeah, I'm just really allergic to like everything outside. I get itchy. Like I'm allergic to grass.
Oh, no.
In Oklahoma, I know there's a lot of like. Okay, well, to be a little honest about just my life. Home, I love my family and they love me, but we have a complicated relationship with talking and experiencing my gender. I'll say that. And so when I come home, I honestly do my best to, like, even though I know I have this like ridiculous haircut, I've started wearing skirts, which is confusing. I had to stop wearing a binder because, again, I have really bad asthma, but I also have scoliosis. And so that was just like not a good combo. And after like years, it was just like, I have to stop doing this. It hurts.
Yeah, it does.
No, but right?
I
I
stopped
remember the first time I did it.
and I was like, it's fine.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not suffering right now.
Like, I don't really
Yeah.
care. Like, everyone knows that I have tits. Just whatever. Just, I'm not gonna wear it anymore. Y'all just deal with it.
That's so funny. Well, here's the thing: is that I honestly don't think everyone knew I had tits. I'm just kidding. But it was kind of weird all of a sudden, like not wearing one. After I also had to like kind of fight to wear one after a while, and I have not explained it because I'm like, I don't want to talk about it because it's painful to my soul. No, but so when I come home, I kind of try and shut off all my like gender like presentation things, and I kind of try to like round myself off into, it's still not like male or female, but it's like a nice, it's like little polished sphere, and it's not like expressing gender, but it's just kind of gender neutral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when I'm out, like not in Oklahoma, I don't even count that it's going out because you can't do anything here. You see my limp wrist. I'm gay. Sorry, that's a visual bit for the audio podcast.
Oh hell yeah! We'll put it
For
in.
all you listeners out there,
Limp wrist.
you can't
Right.
tell, but I am gay.
God, do that too.
We're all just sitting here like,
Self-realization moment.
did you just find out? Maybe we should interview you.
Yes, again.
Yeah, anyway, so but like in Chicago, I don't feel as bad about like expressing myself outwardly, and that's often really it's kind of just in like little things that honestly I'm doing right now. Like you can't tell, I have like the tiniest little mustache. It's the faintest little mustache. And I have like a weird mullet mohawk thing with like sideburns I'm like growing out because I'm like, I guess I think I'm quirky or something. And then like, I don't know. And I have like a deep voice, so I guess that's something. Honestly, a lot of it is kind of just like the way you carry yourself. It's not always like about what I wear in Chicago, although I do cross some boundaries with fashion. Just kidding. It's like normal, but sorry. But like, it's mostly just about like, yeah, how I act and how I carry myself. And it can be anywhere from like I was saying, like the kind of like stoic, what am I saying? The stoic, like masculine, like kind of quiet, kind of hot.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes I don't present as hot. I'm just kidding. That was a gender joke, I guess. Sorry. This is the longest time I'm
told.
Sorry, this is the longest time I'm taking to answer like
No,
a fairly simple question. I feel like I know I keep saying that I have brain problems. Okay. So, but like in spaces I'm comfortable with, yeah, it's like I can go anywhere from one extreme to like super like femme, like oh my god, like like completely real like gay boy, femboy shit, and it's just kind of like, it's honestly a lot of it is just like doing whatever I'm feeling, you know what I mean? Like presenting just however like in that moment my body and my brain are like deciding to act. Again, I'm doing a lot of visual bits for the podcast. My hands are on everywhere. So sorry, every listener who can't see how gay I'm being. Yeah, but it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. No, I'm gonna cut myself off there because I'll ramble on forever. But that's my answer.
And I guess another question,
Hmm.
like how do you navigate the intersection between gender and sexuality, and like how
Work.
that played into your life?
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying, like I'll start with high school because that's where any good sexuality story starts. Um, I was like super in high school, like even though I was kind of femme, I was like mostly super mask presenting. I was still like quirky and fun, don't get me wrong, but I was like mask. And like I like dated mostly. I've always known like since I was like in third grade, I had crushes on little boys and I crushed on little girls as a young child, not anymore. Anyway, that was confusing
No, I
when
get
I was in third grade. And then growing up, I just like knew. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there are things you just know. And for me, thank God, I figured that out pretty quickly to make way for the rest of the time that I was going to be figuring stuff out. But like in high school, like I dated like in public, not to my family really. I don't think they would care, but I was just like, we're just not gonna do anything with that. I was also in high school and I was like, to be honest, these are not gonna last and I like this person, but this isn't real. that sound, does that sound terrible?
I love that you
Okay.
were like aware of that in high school. I was like,
I was
just like-
I'm in love with everyone, and it never worked out. And then I gave
Oh.
up.
Oh, Andy, don't give up for love.
Thank
Give
you.
up on high
Have you
school,
still given up?
Andy.
Okay, but real love is still to come for Andy, right? Okay.
So move on from you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, we got someone. Oh shit.
Yeah, we did. We're done with that. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Past.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so you're high
Anyways.
school, right?
Yes, high school. Yes, I was in high school. I had dated mostly like gals, but secretly, not when I was dating a girl, but when I was off. I don't know what I'm saying. When I
Yeah.
was like off season, like not dating a girl, I would often since I don't know, I was like super mask, but I was also like I went to an art high school,
Yeah.
and I was a dancer. I still kind of am, but I used to be like, I was like a ballerina until I was like 14, like for real. And then in high school, we studied a modern dance program, but I was able to choreograph. Anyway, I don't need to like brag, get into it, but like I was known. And this sounds terrible, but
No, keep going.
anytime like people would just know me for like having a fat ass. Like literally, I was the dancer who was like kind of androgynous, who had a thick, juicy caboose. And I'm not kidding because sometimes people wouldn't know my name. Like, especially when I was younger. As I got older, people like knew who I was because we've all been to school together. But like at a younger age, people would just be like, that dancer with the big ass. I'd be like, that's me. And so, but that was, and I'm like really charming, just saying. I'm just, so I was able to like snag some like straighty men and like I just like would make out with them in like cars and shit, but like secretly because they wouldn't want to tell anyone because it was like I was still like masked and it was like weird. So that was my first encounter also with like terrible cis men, but it's also because they were straight. But to be completely honest, sorry my fellow queers, but gay cis men can still be like that, especially about trans stuff. Anyway, call out post. Anyway, okay. But so that started in high school where I was like kind of interacting with the two genders like differently and like feeling the difference like inside. And as I went into like college, there were so many queer people that to be honest, I had crushes on like all of them, so I didn't know where to start. And because well, to be honest, I have like crushes on like almost every person I meet because I'm like attention starved, but also like I think I don't know. but I don't know if this is out. Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know the whole thing about like pansexual versus bisexual. I think they're both valid, and as long as you don't exclude trans people, who cares? I was among those who identified. BBDB. I latched onto the identity of pansexual, and so now I don't really say that. I'm usually just like, yeah, I'm like gay, I'm queer, I'm trans. It's like a whole thing. But like to put it into like more specific words, I would still sometimes call myself pansexual, just because personally I'm just like attracted to just like everyone. And so it's an easy way to be like, pan means all. There you go. And then in college, I kind of was super depressed for a while and went through a phase of like cis, straightish, gayish men on Grinder. It was terrible. Terrible phase. I felt like shit. And then I woke back up again and was like, oh yes, we have so many queer people. What am I doing? And so since I started, I've kind of for like the last like year and a half been exclusively just like dating queer and mostly like trans or like I don't know, like non-binary, but some people don't consider themselves trans, like queer people. And since I've done that, like I don't feel like my gender and my sexuality like clash in a way anymore. Like they kind of are just I know they're not the same, but they kind of just flow like together. And I for the last like 7 months have been in a relationship with I know do you know Melon?
Yes, I know Melon. Sorry.
Yeah, that's me and Melon are together.
I love
You
Melon.
probably knew that.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Melon.
Yes.
Shout out to
Shout out to
my
Melon for being a awesome
just a
individual. and artist.
cool person, yes, and a very sweet partner. What we've been together for like the last 7 months, and that has been like just the best shit for my sad trans brain because they are also FTM, and they also kind of had this transition that I had from like binary masculinity to non-binariness, and they're like a little newer to it than I am maybe, and so they're kind of not to say that they aren't doing what they're doing. They're just like being able to explore their non-binariness like more and more, and it's like really really affirming to like be with someone who has such a similar like life experience as you, and also like someone who like kind of fully transitioned for the most part and then like is evolving from there too is really like I don't know, it's inspiring a little bit. Melon, I love you, you're inspiring. And so like yeah, so for the last like 7 months, yeah, my gender and sexuality have really especially been just like unified, and I felt really good about that, and I don't have to worry anymore about like how's this person perceiving me, like are they just like are they calling me Clark and like he him just for like me and they don't actually think that, or like are they expecting me to fill like this binary role that they're opposed to, or like I don't have to think about that anymore because both of us kind of just exist together, and it's like a weird puzzle that fits together and then like changes. Yeah, so I'll end it there, but that's kind of my journey so far. And hopefully I won't have to deal with it ever again and I can just be with Melon for like ever and not have to worry about like anything else about that again, because that even though I'm only 20, that shit hurted, that shit sucked. So anyway.
Oh yeah. Do you have any like resources for other non-binary?
Oh shit.
Like either just off the top of your head or
off the top of my head, well there are like a myriad of like non-binary people I just kind of like follow on social media and just kind of like absorb what they say and like think about it and then spit back out whatever I think about it. I would say okay, well off the top of my head I'll just do that. I follow India Moore. They are a like actor they were on Pose, and they're like actor activists, you know, especially recently with like the Black Lives Matter movement. They've been speaking out a lot about their experience as like a Black non-binary trans person, and like spreading a lot of like good like things to get in your head about like just the experience of like just Black people in general, and then also like Black trans people specifically. um like I said earlier, Jacob Tobiah, I think, I don't know how to say their name, but it's Jacob and it's Tobia, which is just Tobiah, I think. But and like you said, Chris can't words, so that's how even one word that seems easy. But they are like really, I don't know, they're just like really sweet and funny, and like they do some good like interviews, and they have like some really cute books. But they are just like really cute and quirky and fun. And then um I don't know, the classic Jeffrey Marsh. Do y'all know Jeffrey Marsh? They were a meme because they're just so like almost deadpanningly like inspiring and like supportive. Like they just like stare directly into the camera and are like, you are valid. And it's like, oh shit. And so some people were like, that's a meme because that's not real. But it is real, and they're great. And they're also just really cute. Like they were sorry. There were lots of like little pretty dresses and heels, and they'll like spin around and be like, ooh, you know, it's cute. I don't know. Those are the first three just off the top of my head. And then I would honestly look into if anyone's like feeling weird about this like new quote unquote identity of like the Western world. You can look into like other cultures' expressions of like non-binariness. Like obviously, I feel like a lot of people now know like the Two Spirit of the Navajo tribe and maybe other tribes in indigenous America. But there are also like places all over the world, like in India, and I mean just everywhere, of like in Hawaii. I think there's some indigenous tribes there too that just like have a term for someone who like it's usually just inhabits like the, you know, inhabits both genders inside them. So it kind of, it's just one interesting like to read, like honestly just interesting to like learn about other cultures, I think personally, especially when America is so, I mean if you're listening in America, we might have listeners from, I don't know, other places. So welcome international listeners, but just in theory. And then, but America is just so like boxed in on itself. And sometimes you don't even know the own history of America, like even growing up here, and you're starting to learn, and it's like kind of fucked up. But learning about the histories of other places is really cool. And also it just, I don't know, for me, I was reading about them and it just made me feel like even more so than just all the people like on the internet saying, no, I am non-binary. It makes you feel like I'm not alone. Like people for centuries have been feeling similar feelings to the way I feel, and people have been recognizing it and understanding it. And it just is kind of uplifting to be like, wow, there's like a term for it in this, you know, culture that's been here for like 200 years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, or 300 or 400 or, you know, centuries. That's centuries. That's 100. Okay, I'm sorry. My brain is like short circuiting right now. Anyway, that's what I would say.
Our last question
Wait, no.
is
Shit.
How would be a good
They said no.
two?
okay. We have two.
questions.
It's like a two-part.
Is it though?
Or never mind. We have two questions. Okay.
I love sequels, so
Or
let's
like
do it.
second to last question would be how can like non-binary like people be allies to non-binary people? How can we be good allies?
Oh man, I think I'll say first thing is just like respect. You know, just respect whoever you're talking to, even if you don't understand. Second thing would be like listen to what we say. Like if I say something that like is a hint that maybe like something makes me uncomfortable, like a gendered term, or if I just tell you, like let that inform like your, you know, speech about me or whoever, you know. Personally, I'm usually cool with like whatever because I'm just fucking crazy. So that's me. But I mean, even non-binary people, you know, have their gender boundaries, just like, you know, just like a not a binary trans person would, and just like a lot of cis people do too, you know. I would say third thing, like if you have any questions, like don't be afraid to ask, but also don't always expect like a full answer. You know what I mean? That's a two-parter. It's like if you're unsure, especially like the easiest one is like of someone's pronouns. Literally just ask. Even if you've known them for like a year, just be like, hey, reminder, what are your pronouns? So that you don't misgender them, you know? Because I know there are tons of obviously non-binary people who will use they them only. Some will use a gender pronoun only. Some will use they're just their name. And some people use obviously neopronouns, which I'm trying to get into some because honestly they're cool as shit and I love it. And I know maybe that's not like the best basis for picking your pronouns, but I'm like I can do what I want and I kind of want to just use some cool ass fucking pronouns anyway. um right? Like, who doesn't? I mean, I know most people don't, but who doesn't? Yeah. I mean, I would say those are just the main things. Like, don't assume about a non-binary person. As, like more than I think a lot of people realize, non-binary people are all completely like different. Like, we all have our own gender journey up to that point, and we all have our own like ideas about what even gender is. You know, like I know for most cis people, it's not even something they think about. And for trans people, like binary trans people, a lot of times it's kind of, I mean, I'm not gonna like assume I know you are a binary trans person as far as I know. So like, but it's kind of like realizing just like one to the other, and maybe not a linear way, but like that's kind of where you end up. And non-binary people, it can literally be like here to here to here to here. It can be like just a big circle. It can be fucking anything. So non-binary people, I honestly think more than just the general population are just so gender divergent, you know. Just but even just as a group, it's like honestly weird to group us all together because we're all just completely in our own, like some people think gender is performative, some people think it's just in your head, and this is I guess all trans people too, but I don't know. I think those are the basics. It's just like respect you, don't assume, ask questions, but don't expect returns because we're human beings.
Yeah, so then I guess our final question, unless we think of more, which does happen, we are not organized.
Final possibly?
Yeah.
It's like the end question mark? Yeah.
What are your hopes for the future, either like personally or on a
man,
wide or nationwide?
That's just such a big question.
Yeah.
I have extreme like societal like anxiety and depression about just like things that don't even affect me. Like literally it's like about just everything. So really I hope everyone like gets what they deserve and what they need. That's the one hope. Like I hope like, you know, people start wising up and respecting other people, and people start feeling some equality and, you know, all that. I hope the earth gets healed because she's dying. There's so many problems, but more personally, my hope is that I am able to like just like transition at my own pace, meaning like not just like at my own pace slower, but like quicker. And also I hope that I will be able to like that like non-binary identities will be like, and trans identities just fucking in general will be respected more and cared about more and like represented in our government and like legally, because right now really the only things we're represented for legally is like that you can discriminate against us legally. So I just really hope that like as I get older and as like a lot of trans people like grow into the world, that it accepts us and like accommodates us, because I would really love to like change my gender marker to the X. You guys know about the X?
Yeah.
Because for a long time I was like, I guess an M maybe is cool. Like I like even when I was like younger, I didn't think about it as much. But like I was always like, I guess an M because I don't like the F, to be quite honest. To be completely real, I'd rather have an M than an F. And then I was like, oh, the X. I would really like a world where I can just like, pop in and get an X on my shit and then like, live my life as an X. Because I just think I would feel really terrible having to live with this like F for a long time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And it's kind of like super just that's personal, but that's for a lot of people. But
Yeah, it is.
also like mark that stupid little F. I'm like, you're a bitch. Like you do nothing but hold me down. You're toxic. You're disgusting. Like I hate you.
Like that
And
was
that's
a
just for me
poem.
personally.
Sorry.
Like obviously plenty of people like you just fine, but to be honest, I could do without you. Okay. Yeah, I'll say yeah. We'll just say it like blanket statement. I just want an X. And I'll just say that's my hope for the future, just in general, as an X. Not an X partner, because I like melon, but an X gender marker.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Just go into the MDB and like just write an X and they don't care.
I feel like honestly, in Oklahoma, just be like, I don't give a shit, or just fucking get out of here, fucking freak. Some of them are nice. I'll say that. I live in the city, so it's not as bad here. But ooh, let me tell you, the Oklahoma isn't always the last to do things like this because it kind of follows some bandwagons. But it will be one of the last to be like, fine, we'll give you an X or whatever. Like, get fucked. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my piece about Oklahoma.
Well, it's relatable because Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah, y'all are doing. Oh, sorry, that got real southern real quick. Wow. Yeah, y'all are doing little numbers with the. I'm still doing it. Oh my God, y'all are doing numbers. I was gonna say with the COVID.
Yeah, we
So
really
be careful out there.
just number one at the
Yeah.
virus. I mean, we
Yeah.
live in
So.
Flagstaff, it's better, but like.
Ooh, Flagstaff. I drove through there once. There's a lot of trees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That whole,
it's
like,
very foresty.
liberal mountain
It's
forest town. That's like it.
that's beautiful.
It is.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Us too. The rest of
Yeah.
Arizona scares me, quite frankly.
Oh God.
Like someone's
I
gonna
went to
shoot me.
Albuquerque once. I'm not gonna do that.
Honestly, I feel completely the same in Oklahoma, so don't worry.
I think that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting me onto this fresh new pod.
Yeah.
Was very excited. Never been on a podcast before. Always dreamed of it.
Yay.
This
Thank
is
you
so
for
cool.
agreeing
Right?
to speak with us. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you. It was fun.
Mhm.